good.
That's really weird. You didn't even say we started. So we are with Sarah Thomas, who's in Denver, USA. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be hot. We're all really hot. And you're in a jumper as well, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So basically, Sarah,
I know I work out of my basement, so it's freezing in my basement, but hot outside.
Fair enough.
I wish we had a basement.
Yeah, stay in it all the time.
So, Sarah, we're going to ask you a few questions. And might as well get cracking, Lauren.
So do you want Sarah to give a bit of background or
go
straight in? So Sarah, before we get into the questions, did you want to give just a little bit of background for people who perhaps don't know who you are or haven't followed you? Just a couple of minutes, just introduce yourself.
You are waffling today, babe.
Yeah, it's hot.
Come on.
It frazzles my brain.
So Sarah, tell us about yourself.
And it's hard to think when it's hot. So I am an ultra marathon swimmer from the United States. I kind of moved around a little bit, but now I live in Colorado. I started off swimming, when I was a small child and worked my way up to some pretty long swims. So I've done 104 miles straight in Lake Champlain back in 2017. Oh. And then last year, probably what most people know is that I'm the English Channel 4 times without stopping. So that's kind of the me in a nutshell.
That's crazy.
Most people only dream of doing it once and struggle to do it once, let alone to do it 4 times. That is mental.
Yeah.
Crazy.
130 miles.
Enough for normal people.
Yeah.
We'll just get rid of that pop-up. So it probably leads into the next question nicely. So what first got you into marathon swimming?
Yeah, so, I swam in high school, I swam through university, and decided I was retiring at the ripe old age of 21 and tried to do other sports like running and Zumba, all the things that were cool back then, and failed miserably. Don't enjoy any of those other activities, it turns out. And so, after about a year and a half of not swimming, I found my way back to the pool and joined a master's swim team. And not a couple of months into being on that team, a few people started to kind of like poke at me and say, Sarah, I think you'd be really good at open water swimming. And I grew up in Texas, and that really wasn't a thing in Texas, not necessarily the nicest of lakes and rivers to swim in there unless you enjoy rattlesnakes and nastiness. Right? No way. And so here in Colorado, the lake situation is really different. It's clean and clear and beautiful surroundings. And, after a few months of people kind of digging at me, I decided I'd give it a shot. And I did a 10K race in one of the reservoirs north of Denver, and just totally 100% fell in love with open water swimming. It was just one of those like moments in time when you're like, yes, I found it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I really haven't looked back since then. It was just, it fit and I loved it. And here we are.
Nice. 10K, that was your first open water swim?
Yeah, it sure was. I was 5, and you're still young and you're like, oh, I can do a 10K. That's like not that hard, like it's a little intimidating, but I'd done that in swim practice in university. So it's like, maybe, this is going to hurt, but I bet I can figure it out. If I had maybe tried to do that when I was, 35, I had a different opinion about it.
Yeah.
25, you can still take on the world, I think.
That's such a baptism of fire, though.
Yeah, 5K is my max, but it's our max. That was enough.
Yeah.
10K, wow. That's crazy.
That is mental.
Cool. Right. Come on, Lauren.
No, it's your turn to ask a question.
I can't see the questions.
Okay, so that's an easy way out, isn't it? So, how did recovering from cancer change your mindset to life and sport?
Yeah, so the cancer diagnosis came when I was pretty far into this whole swimming thing. You know, I had done like my Lake Champlain swim. I had done my Lake Powell swim that was 80 miles. I'd done a couple of swims in the 40 to 50 mile range. So I was, you know, pretty well entrenched in marathon swimming and, you know, totally my passion. And I'd already booked my English Channel 4-way swim. And then I got diagnosed with cancer. And, you know, it was really hard to go from feeling like you were, you know, tip-top shape, an elite athlete, you know, doing what you love with plans to continue on, and everything just kind of stops. You go from wanting to be an athlete to just wanting to be alive. And that really does change your focus. It changes your mentality. You know, I went from, you know, swimming like 5-6 days a week regularly to being really happy if I got 3 days in during all of my treatments. And it kind of just breaks things down and makes things more simple. And you do learn to prioritize what is important. And obviously going through treatment, all of that comes first. And, you know, I really need swimming. You know, it makes me happy. It helps me physically. It helps me mentally. And so, you know, going through all of that really just solidified that swimming is, you know, what I need in order to survive, basically. And having a goal of, you know, throughout all of that treatment really helped keep me focused on getting through it and, you know, pushing for recovery and always thinking about what's coming next rather than dwelling with how terrible cancer treatment actually is, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. And how long were you having cancer treatment for?
It was about 9 months total, I think. Right. I was diagnosed in November of 2017, and everything was kind of started up in December, and then we wrapped everything up in the end of August of 2018. So yeah, it kind of basically took up a whole year, from start to finish, if you counted recovery time from everything that I was going through, until I started to feel maybe a little bit more normal again. It took a long time to feel better after everything, that's for sure.
And then the first thing in your mind was crossing the Channel 4 times.
Yeah. Isn't that what everyone thinks of when they're going through cancer treatment?
That's amazing.
The way that it works, right? You have to pay your deposit on the boat a year out from your swim.
Right.
And so that was September of 2018. So I was like 2 weeks out of radiation treatment, and my English Channel boat captain emails me, and he was like, I know what you've been going through. I hate to ask you this, but are you coming next year? And I really had to take a moment, like, I've been talking about coming. You know, I feel really crappy right now. Am I still going? You know, you really have to think about those things when it comes down to it. And, you know, I think I took maybe a day, and I got back to him, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming. And he was like, all right, well, send me your money.
Nice. That's really cool. Wow.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, how do you prepare for, well, one channel swim, let alone 4 in a row?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things that you don't just go out and do all of a sudden, you know. After my swim, I had more emails and messages than you can imagine of people. Hey, I've swum the English Channel 1 time. I haven't done anything else, but I really think I can do it 4 times. Can you tell me how to train? And my response is, well, you need about 10 more years. So, you know, it's just one of those things you build up to it. You know, I started with 10K swims, then I moved into longer, you know, 20-mile swims, and then I had a few swims in the 40 to 50 mile range, and then, you know, a couple in the 80 to 100 mile range, you know, and all of that takes time to build up your stamina, to build up your cold water tolerance, to learn how to train, to learn how to do your nutrition. So, you know, there's just so many pieces that you can't replicate unless you have experience under your belt. And you get experience by just getting there and doing it and starting small and building up incrementally to a goal. So that's kind of how you do it.
Because you've done a couple of channel crossings before, hadn't you?
I had just done one 8 years ago, I think, actually.
Yeah.
I'd swum the English Channel one time myself. I crewed it for a friend, and, you know, sitting on the boat watching him do it, I thought, hey, I want to come back. This is a really special place. And at that time I was thinking 3 laps might be plenty. And then kind of as I went along, I was like, you know what, let's add on there. That shouldn't be too much different.
Because it's meant to be 80 miles, but it ended up your kind of 4-way ended up being 130. Is that right?
It depends on how you count it. You know, point to point, it's right about 80, between 80 and 84 with the decimal points. You never ever swim the English Channel in a straight line. It's impossible because of the currents. So I think probably did travel, you know, 130 miles, but in my mind, I don't count it that way because currents were pushing. You know, at some places I was swimming really, really fast, and that was just the aid of the current. So for me, in my mind, it's 80 miles, but I guess if you look back, you know, it's so curvy and things like that, but that's just the normal the English Channel and the tides.
I would take 130. Doesn't matter.
Definitely. Wow. And obviously, as you're doing the event, I think anyone would feel fatigued mentally and physically. So how do you cope with that as you're doing the event?
Sure. I mean, part of it is experience. You know, I've trained really hard and I have a lot of hours in the water where I've been swimming exhausted and tired. And so I know what it feels like, and I know kind of what my limit is, and I know how to push through it. And some of it is really relying on my team to keep me encouraged and cheering me on, even when they're exhausted and tired and it's 3 a.m. and they just want to go to sleep. And a lot of it has to do with nutrition. You know, I drink a little bit of caffeine in the middle of the night. That kind of keeps me mentally sharp. So, you know, there's just a lot of combining factors and things like that that go into making sure that you're staying sharp and motivated and remembering why you're out there doing it rather than just, you know, this is terrible and miserable. I'd really like to be wrapped in a sleep warm right now. So, you know, it's tough to push through all of that. But, you know, when you've got a goal that you've sacrificed years for, you know, it takes a lot to get you out of the water.
Yeah. So my thing with open water swimming in the sea is jellyfish.
Yeah.
And also the thought of having to swim through shipping lanes. So you've got big boats and jellyfish and cold because you can't wear a wetsuit. It's all done just swimsuit, cap, goggles. Like how well, do you just get used to it? Like that environment, like how does that happen?
Yeah, you know, you do get used to it. I really hate jellyfish, like more than any other creatures in the water. I hate them. And there were swarms of them off the coast of France. So, you know, I spent quite a long time dodging jellyfish. I was really lucky. I only ran into one of them. But I hate them. They're terrible. And you just you prepare yourself that they're going to be there and it will hurt, but it's not going to last forever. You know, I ran into the jellyfish right at the start of my second lap And by the time I was done, it didn't hurt anymore. So, you know, the pain of that goes away.
From the cold.
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
So, and as far as the shipping containers go, you know, those are actually fun to watch go by. You know that your boat captain is always in touch with them, so they're not going to run into you. And so they're fun to watch. They're just so huge and you're so little, and that part is really enjoyable.
Are they coming across
in the English Channel
swimming?
by which boats are going?
Yeah,
exactly. They're going this way and you're going that way. And you know something's wrong if the angle is wrong. So, you know, they're just kind of a good marker as to where you're at. And, you know, there's nothing else out there. It's not like you can see land or shore. So they're like your only frame of reference. So I really, those are fun to watch. On my last night in the channel, the boat captain actually radioed all of the boats and said, hey, I've got a swimmer. She's on her 4th lap. Give her a wide berth. And I didn't see any like all night long. And I thought something was like really wrong because I didn't see any boats, but they were just going around us instead of through us, which was kind of neat too.
That's pretty cool. Man, that's
amazing.
It is. It's frightening.
I just can't wrap my head around 4 channels. I can't wrap my head around 1, let alone 4.
And you were in the water for 56 hours, just so that people can comprehend what you were doing. Like 56 hours.
Yeah, I think it was 54, maybe. I don't know. I lose track. It's really bad. I don't ever remember.
Yeah, but even if it was 50, like that's crazy. That's a long time.
A long time. A long, long time.
Yeah, it is a long time.
And so 2 days, what were you eating? Like what are you allowed in the water?
Yeah, so most of my nutrition comes from just like a water bottle that I have with carbohydrates mixed in and a little bit of protein and then some electrolytes. So 90% of the time that is what I'm eating, but basically it's just liquid. So I'm drinking it from a bottle. They toss it to me on a rope. We do try and mix in some solid foods every now and again, just for some variety. Sometimes you need something to like digest in your stomach rather than just liquid. So, you know, I like things like food pouches or rice is usually pretty good. On this channel swim, I had a craving for M&Ms, so they were sending me out M&Ms in a water bottle. So I was
That's so cool.
M&Ms out of a water bottle.
That's so cool.
To be fair, I think when you're swimming 4 times, you can demand what you want.
Absolutely.
What you want for food. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah, they were worried because we ran out towards the end and they thought I was going to be upset, but it's like, I ate all, it's my own fault.
Yeah, no, that's man,
it's incredible. That's so.
It's like, I mean, we've done long endurance things.
Not when you compare it to this.
But I can't. I'm speechless. Like you can't comprehend. You know, when we saw it in the news and it was like 4 channel swims. It's a record. You kind of think, wow, that's amazing. But actually, when you sit down and think about it, just swimming for 54, 56 hours.
Yeah.
That's great. Like that's a lot of swimming. Definitely.
It's a lot of flapping around in a circle for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Crazy. So good though. So what would your top 3 tips for sea swimming be if you had to give 3?
Yeah, I would say start off easy. You know, don't just decide that you're going to go swim a 5K or a 10K. You know, start off small. You know, just take it easy. Make sure you're in a safe place. You know, you're not going to get swept out to the ocean. It's really important to know like what the tides and the currents and things like that are doing in the area that you're swimming in. You know, definitely make sure that you're swimming with a friend. That way you're not getting lost, or if something happens, you've got someone there to help you. So, you know, safety definitely is like top tip for ocean swimming. And then otherwise, have fun. I love being in the ocean. I don't know, it's more spiritual, if that's the right word, than a lot of other places. And it just, it's so freeing, and it's your soul, I think, to be in the water and moving, even if you're not going very far. So, have fun, be safe, and, take it easy until you're ready to do more. I guess those are my 3.
Cool.
Sounds good.
And just one other thing with building up resilience to the cold, is that what you meant by start slow? So kind of increase the time you're in the water for little by little?
For sure. When I very first started out with my first 10K, the water was like 19 or 20 C, and I was freezing. I was cold in that. The English Channel was like 17 to 18, I think, and it was like not a problem. And it is just something that you can gradually, over time, build up your tolerance to. And it takes years. It's not just something like, oh, I swam in cold water once or twice, I'm ready to go. It takes years of being in it and subjecting yourself to colder and colder, so that suddenly, like 17 C is like really super comfortable. It takes practice, and it's mental, physical, and all kinds of things.
Do you swim all the year through?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you swim in the ocean all the year through?
Well, Colorado is landlocked, so all I have here are lakes, and they freeze in the winter. So
nice.
I am in the lakes, April until October or so, when they kick us out. So yeah, I'm stuck in the pool most of the winter, which is terrible. I hate it.
Don't like the pool. It's interesting. Do you struggle to then come back into it? Because us triathletes, we'll swim up until about September time open water, and then we'll kind of go back in the pool. And then when we come back to open water in like March or April time, it takes 4 or 5 weeks to get back to that cold resistance. Do you lose that from not swimming all the year through?
I think I used to, but at this point I've been in it enough that 1 or 2 sessions in cold water and I'm like ready to go. Between cancer treatment, I didn't do a lot of open water swimming, and I did the Cook Strait in March of 2019, and that water was pretty cold. I'm trying to think of what it was. I don't know. It was cold. And I hadn't been in water that cold in like well over a year. And I was a little nervous going into that swim if I had lost it, and it was totally fine. I had a couple of days before the swim to get used to it, and it was A-okay.
How far was that one?
Cook Strait is 16 miles, I believe.
So just a short one.
It's between the islands of New Zealand, so between the North and South Island. We thought it was going to take 9 to 10 hours, and it took 16 because the currents went a little wacky and the weather was horrid. So that was like my first swim back after all my cancer treatment, and it was pretty rough. Yeah, but we made it through, and that is what counts.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. 16.
I've never known you.
Even that is like.
So, I've never known Lauren to be just so speechless. Initially I thought she was really off her game, hadn't had enough caffeine, and I was like, you've been really slow, but actually I think she's just like struggling to comprehend it.
I just no. Amazing.
This is awesome.
Yeah. So after doing what I think we'd argue is probably one of the most like mentally and physically, yeah. I'm just like, I can't take it in.
So basically, What's next? You know, after that, where do you go? Like 54 hours. Like, is there a 5th Channel crossing? Like, what's next?
Yeah, I don't have any set plans. My boat captain says that his only regret on the whole swim is that he didn't make me turn for lap number 5 when we were there already. He thinks I could have done it. So there have been, you know, some discussions maybe on the road about coming back for 5. I don't know if I'm there yet. You know, it takes a lot out of you physically and mentally to do that.
Yeah.
I love the English Channel, but there's other bodies of water in the world that I'd, you know, like to dip my toes in too, whether it's for that long or something shorter. We'll see. I'm glad I didn't have anything planned for this year. COVID probably would have ruined it. So this year was down, and I'm definitely kind of looking to next year and trying to find a new challenge. So we'll see. There'll be something. I just don't know what it is yet.
That's really cool.
That is mental.
Yeah, there you go. Lauren, I think Lauren needs to lay down.
I'm just speechless with all of it. It's crazy. I just can't wrap my head around it.
No, it's so cool to speak to you. I think that's all your questions. Have you got any more questions?
No,
Lauren?
my mind is blown.
There's no more questions. It's been really, really cool to speak to you,
definitely.
And we would definitely like to speak to you again. So we'll kind of keep in touch and see what else is coming up. And if you do a 5th Channel swim, we'll definitely be up for getting on the boat. I'll definitely cheer you on from the boat for sure.
Yeah, won't get in the water.
You won't get me anywhere near the water, but I'll get on the boat for you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome.
Perfect.
Right, Sarah, thank you so much for your time.
You.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome.
And we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.